Scorpio, dear soul, what if the message you've been waiting for isn't coming from this world at all? What if it's arriving now, from the very spirit of your father, who has already crossed over? You didn't land here by coincidence. You weren't scrolling aimlessly. Something greater has drawn you to this exact moment. That something may very well be a sacred transmission from your father's soul, and it cannot wait any longer. There is a whisper coming from the other side. Not one that you can hear with your ears, but one that your heart has been aching to recognize. In this reading, we're not talking about death. We're talking about continuation. We're not speaking of endings. We're speaking of sacred bonds that never broke off, how love transcends the veil, and how your father's presence has never truly left. Scorpio, I invite you now to slow down your breath. Let your spirit settle. You're entering a space where your intuition will be awakened, your grief will be heard, and your healing may begin. You are not here just to receive a message. You are here to remember who you are and who still walks beside you. I can feel the vibration of your father's spirit surrounding this space. The urgency, the tenderness, the regret, the devotion, it's all here. He is working through divine timing and synchronicity to reach you, because there is something he needs you to know. You may have sensed it already in your body, a chill down your spine, a dream you keep having, a moment when your heart paused for no reason at all. These are not illusions. These are echoes of a spirit trying to come closer. If something inside you is already resonating, if your heart is beating just a little faster, then I ask you, would you be willing to open your soul for a moment? If yes, then take a deep breath, and leave a comment below that says, I am ready to hear my father. Because intention opens the gate. And your voice, even typed out, is a signal that you are willing to listen to what he's been longing to say. Let me also take a moment to thank you for being here. Your presence, your energy, your curiosity, it is sacred. Every time you like, share, comment, or subscribe to this channel, you are not just supporting content, you are expanding a sanctuary where messages like these can reach the people who need them most. Your engagement helps carry this light farther. And I thank you, truly, for that. But more than anything, for your own heart, Scorpio, I hope you stay until the very end of today's reading. Because what the universe is revealing on your behalf is breathtaking. There is healing woven into every word. There is purpose behind every sign. There is divine mercy hidden even in what once hurt the most. So take a seat with me now, not just with your body, but with your whole presence. Your father's spirit is close. Your soul is ready. Let's begin. Scorpio, in this sacred moment of reflection, we enter a chapter that speaks not just to the mind, but to the quietest places of the heart, the places where memory blurs with mystery, and where love stretches beyond what this world can contain. This part of the journey reminds us that the bond between a father and child is never fully broken, not even by death. In fact, some bonds only become more profound once the noise of the physical world fades away. You see, in astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, rebirth, and hidden truth. This energy allows you to sense what others cannot, to feel what is beyond logic, to perceive the movements of unseen forces. And it is no coincidence that this message is reaching you now. Recent lunar activity, perhaps a full moon in a water sign or a deeply karmic eclipse, has been stirring the veils between dimensions. These celestial events do not just affect the tides, they move the emotional ocean within us. They awaken the soul's listening. If lately you've had moments when time seemed to pow cold breath down your spine, a song that played at just the right moment, a scent that reminded you of something you thought you'd forgotten, those are not hallucinations. They are echoes. Gentle alerts. And your Father may have been the one sending them. He's been there. In the silence. In the turning point you didn't see coming. In the time you nearly gave up but didn't. In the moment of almost and then a shift. Perhaps there was a car that narrowly missed you. Or an opportunity that returned when it had already slipped away. A gut feeling that made you pause just long enough. You didn't understand it then, but now you're starting to. His protection wasn't about showing up in ways that others could see, it was about whispering into the fabric of your intuition. His soul, still tethered to yours, did not need words to warn you, or hands to guide you. He only needed you to be still enough to feel. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has kept this channel open. Because a father's love, especially one burdened with things unsaid or regrets carried into spirit, will find a way. Not all goodbyes are permanent. Some are just a transition of language from voice to vibration, from gesture to synchronicity, from form to frequency. And maybe this is what your own faith has been trying to tell you all along. That in the stillness, in prayer or breath, in moments when you whisper to God in the dark, you are not whispering alone. The Father who created you and the Father who helped raise you are listening. Maybe, just maybe, they are listening together. There's a verse that says, "The Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit Himself intercedes with groanings too deep for words." Sometimes the prayers you never spoke out loud were answered anyway because your Father's soul stood in the gap, speaking for you. Holding space when you couldn't. Protecting when you didn't know how to ask. So if your heart is stirring now, that's no accident. If your body remembers something your mind had buried, let it rise. Let the tears come if they must. Let the memory breathe again. Because it is in this soft remembering that healing begins. And if, at any moment in your life, you felt saved by something you couldn't explain. If you've sensed someone watching over you, though no one was there. Leave a comment that says, "Dad, I feel your protection." Because by saying it, you are not only opening the channel wider, you are affirming that love does not die. It transforms. It protects. It returns. Scorpio, if you felt a pull toward messages hidden between dreams, or a quiet knowing that arrives before the world confirms it, that's not coincidence, it's legacy. The legacy your father left behind isn't written in property deeds or material inheritance. It's etched into your energy field. It pulses through your intuition. It lives in the way your body reacts before your mind catches up. This is the invisible gift, the sacred imprint of a soul who once walked this earth in physical form, and who now walks beside you in a frequency beyond the visible. You were born with an inner compass that feels older than you. That compass, the part of you that just knows, has been sharpened across generations. Your father, even if he never spoke of it in life, carried that same sensitivity. Perhaps he denied it. Perhaps he wasn't taught to trust it. But in his passing, what was once suppressed has become liberated and passed down to you, like a coded spiritual map waiting to be activated. In numerology, this year may be a 9-year for you, a cycle of completion, endings, and spiritual fulfillment. 9 is not simply the end. It is the harvest. It is the moment when you gather what was sown over lifetimes and choose what to carry forward, what to release, and what to finally claim. The appearance of numbers like 999, 911, or even 1144 is not an algorithm glitch. It is sacred repetition. Repetition is how the universe speaks when words are not enough. If you've been seeing these angel numbers lately, take them as soft thunder, a call to awaken what has been dormant. Astrologically, Scorpio is the sign of depth, mysticism, and emotional alchemy. You are ruled by Pluto, the archetype of transformation, and co-ruled by Mars, the planet of will and instinct. This unique energetic architecture makes you a natural vessel for psychic inheritance. The visions that flicker across your mind, the dreams that repeat themselves, the moments of déjà vu theory, not hallucinations. They are portals. And your father's energy is often the one gently guiding you toward them. Some of you have felt this your whole life, the uncanny ability to sense lies behind someone's smile, to predict outcomes, to feel when someone is thinking about you before they call. You may have dismissed it, or explained it away. But the truth is, you were never imagining it. You were receiving. You were being tuned, like an instrument, to the frequencies most people have forgotten how to hear. This gift didn't begin with you, nor does it end here. It flows from your ancestral line, particularly the feminine stream. You may find that the women in your lineage, your grandmothers, aunts, or even great-grandmothers, carried healing capacities. Maybe they were midwives, herbalists, counselors, or simply the ones everyone turned to when life broke open. Whether they were praised or silenced, their energy lives in you. And now, the baton has been passed. As you sit with this, consider how your father may have tried imperfectly. Silent Light will give you tools for this awakening. Maybe it was in the way he paused before speaking. Maybe it was a book he left behind. Maybe it was in the subtle way he shielded you when he sensed something you didn't yet understand. And now, in his absence, those gestures are becoming messages. Now, he is working through numbers, symbols, dreams, and feelings to show you that your gift is real and ready. So if you've seen numbers repeating lately, or if a certain symbol keeps following you, say it out loud. Write it down in the comments. Share it with this space. Because when you name the sign, you strengthen the signal. And perhaps, through your words, someone else will recognize their own. Your awareness is part of your inheritance. Your intuition is not just a sensitivity, it's your birthright. And it's time to trust it. Scorpio, by now you may be sensing that this journey isn't just about listening, it's about releasing. In this part of the message, we are invited to pause and reflect not only on what we've inherited through spirit but also on what we've unconsciously absorbed through repetition, through family patterns, through emotional silence, through the fears that have whispered beneath our everyday decisions. Your father, even with the best intentions, may have lived with financial worry embedded in his nervous system. He may have feared loss more than he trusted gain. He may have believed, at some level, that abundance was for others, not for people like him. And without ever meaning to, he passed that belief forward, not as a punishment, but as a subconscious echo. And Scorpio, with your depth and emotional sensitivity, you picked it up not through words, but through energy. In astrology, Scorpio governs the 8th house, the house of shared resources, inheritances, and karmic entanglements. This means you're not just here to earn money, you're here to transform your relationship with it. You're not here to collect material things, but to decode the emotional meaning behind them. If lately you've been feeling restricted around finances, if you find yourself attracting instability, pushing abundance away, or struggling to ask for what you're worth, it's not that you're unlucky. It's that you're carrying forward a story that no longer serves your future. And this story doesn't end with money. It extends to relationships, the people around you who may smile with their mouths but speak something different with their energy. You may have someone close who pretends to support your growth, but whose presence drains you. You feel it when you're with them, a tightness in your chest, a sudden heaviness in your shoulders, or a subtle pull towards silence. That's your energetic body speaking. That's your soul's early warning system lighting up. Your father, now free from the constraints of his own conditioning, may be trying to help you see what he once couldn't. He may be sending gentle nudges when you ignore your intuition. He may be the one making the hair on your arms stand when a conversation feels off. When you sense that something doesn't align, when your soul itches but you can't name why. Listen. Not everything harmful shouts. Some things whisper. And your ability to pick up those whispers is part of your power. Often, the emotional weight we carry shows up in our physical body. That tightness in your neck, the dull ache in your back, the cold hands when you speak your truth, these are more than just bodily sensations. They are messages. Emotional tension calcified into flesh. And you, Scorpio, are not here to numb it, you're here to transmute it. This is where the tools of gentle self-inquiry can be your allies. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. Just 1 minute of stillness, one deep breath held a little longer than usual, can begin to unravel years of fear. Journaling, writing down your financial beliefs, your relationship patterns, your hidden emotions can turn confusion into clarity. And placing your hand over your heart, focusing on the green energy of compassion and balance, can reopen the part of you that's been closed for far too long. The process may not be easy, but it is sacred. And you're not doing it alone. Your healing liberates more than just you, it softens the karmic lines that connect generations. That's the real wealth, freedom. Not from money, but from fear. So if this resonates, if even part of you feels the truth in these words, I invite you to affirm it aloud. Say it in the comments. Declare it to yourself. I release inherited limitations. I deserve to live in peace and abundance. Because you do. And this is your moment to begin. Scorpio, by now you may have felt a subtle shift inside you, a soft ache, a quiet tug, perhaps even a forgotten memory resurfacing. And it's no mistake that this part of the journey arrives exactly here. Because after recognizing the invisible inheritance and the emotional weight you've carried, the next doorway is the most human of all, forgiveness. Not the kind spoken for others. The kind that sets your own soul free. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It's about releasing yourself from the cost of holding it forever. And when the wound comes from a parent, especially a father whose presence shaped so much of your internal landscape, it becomes even more layered. Many of us carry these quiet moments, memories we never speak of because they seem too small to name but too heavy to ignore. Perhaps it was something he said or didn't say. A birthday he missed. A promise he broke. Or maybe it was just the way he held his distance when you needed closeness. You didn't always understand it then. And yet, it stayed. In my years working with ancestral patterns and emotional healing, I've come to see that the deepest knots in our energy field often come from the moments we tell ourselves didn't matter. But they did. They shaped your worth. They shaped your voice. And today, as you stand at the edge of deeper healing, you're being asked not to relive the pain but to reclaim your power from it. Your father, like every soul, was shaped by his own fears and wounds. He was a man who may have loved more than he was able to show, who may have held on to silence because that's all he was taught. And now, beyond the veil of life, he sees it all with clarity. He sees what he couldn't give, what he couldn't say, and what you needed. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for connection. Forgiveness, then, is not about changing what happened. It's about changing how you carry it. It's about transforming memory from a sharp edge into a sacred thread, one that reconnects rather than cuts. One that allows love to flow again where it was once blocked. If your heart is ready, there are gentle ways to begin. You can write a letter to him, not to send, but to release. Let every word spill out. The anger, the longing, the things you never got to say. You can light a white candle while you do it, not for ritual but for remembrance. A symbol of illumination, of clarity where there was once confusion. You can place your hand over your heart and simply breathe, imagining the wall between you melting just enough for peace to pass through. This isn't about rushing. It's about honoring. And perhaps, as you do this, you'll begin to see not the father you feared or misunderstood, but the child within him who was never fully healed. Just like you, he was shaped by the patterns of those before him. And by choosing to forgive him, you are not just freeing yourself, you are becoming the one who ends the cycle. If this moment resonates with you, if your soul is whispering, yes, you are invited to affirm your readiness. Speak it gently, or write it where others can witness and join you. Say, I forgive, and I am free. Not because it's easy, but because you are worth the peace that waits on the other side. And in this freedom, Scorpio, you return to yourself. Softer, stronger, whole. Scorpio, everything that's come before in this message has been guiding you gently but purposefully toward this very threshold. The sacred doorway between what has been and what can now be. A new chapter is opening in your life, and though it may feel both exhilarating and uncertain, your father's spirit is standing just behind you, encouraging you to take that step. Not out of pressure, but out of alignment. This is not the end of a journey, it is the conscious beginning of the one your soul agreed to long before you arrived here. There is something within you, perhaps a dream you once held close but eventually let go of. It might have been an artistic passion, a vision of healing others, or a desire to create something beautiful and meaningful for the community around you. Maybe it felt unrealistic, too big, or too late. But your father's message is clear: what you thought was a detour was only preparation. That dream wasn't a mistake. It was a seed. And now the conditions are finally ripe for it to bloom. Astrologically, Scorpio is now entering a season influenced by the vibration of Saturn's wisdom and Uranus's call to awakening. You may feel torn between the desire for safety and the itch for transformation. That is no accident. According to numerology, the presence of repeating 5s or 7s in your environment and clocks, license plates, receipts is a sign. 5 invites you to embrace change as a vehicle for freedom. 7 reminds you that this path is spiritual in nature, not logical. You are not just moving house or changing work, you are aligning with the next layer of your soul's mission. If real estate or relocation has been on your mind, consider this not a coincidence, but a signal. Your father may be orchestrating synchronicities behind the scenes, perhaps a conversation that opens a door, or an unexpected opportunity you nearly overlook. Trust that where you're meant to go next isn't just about geography. It's about energetic resonance. The place you inhabit holds your next version. And your environment has the power to either support or suppress your growth. Even small changes can create waves. Clean your space. Rearrange a room. Let go of what you no longer use. From a self-help perspective, when you move physical energy, you make room for spiritual clarity. Add shades of soft white or warm gold to your space colors that invite purity, hope, and abundance. When you open your windows, imagine light flooding in, not just sunlight, but insight. Every act of renewal you take now echoes a deeper truth. You are not who you were before. You're becoming someone new. And yet, more fully yourself. If doubts whisper in, remember that courage is not the absence of fear, it's choosing to move anyway. Your father knows the steps you're about to take. He sees your hesitation and your hope. And he wants you to know that you are more ready than you realize. Every challenge you faced was not a wall, but a carving, a refining of your edges into clarity. This is your moment. The threshold is waiting. And while no one can walk through it for you, you are never walking it alone. If these words feel like they were meant for you, if your heart is quietly pounding with that sacred recognition, I invite you to ground it in intention. Write in the comments, I step into this new chapter with complete trust in the plan of the universe and my Father. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your activation. Let that be your beginning. Scorpio, what you've received today is far more than a message from a loved one who has passed. It is a sacred invitation from your own soul. An awakening. A remembering. A gentle but powerful reminder that you were never meant to walk this path alone, and that both your Father's Spirit and the divine alignment of the universe are standing behind you, whispering, you are ready now. Ready to live with more courage. Ready to feel with more depth. Ready to rise into the fullness of who you were always meant to become. Every sign you've seen, every emotion that moved through you during this message, was not accidental. The synchronicities are real. The chills. The tears. The memories that floated up. They are part of the divine design that brought you here to this exact moment. And now, it's your turn to respond, not by rushing, but by choosing one small step toward healing, toward truth, toward destiny. Start with what's gentle. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Your subconscious is speaking clearly right now. Nurture your body as a sacred vessel. Nourish it with grounding foods like ginger tea, dark leafy greens, and omega-rich walnuts. Move your body in the mornings, not for perfection, but for circulation, to signal to your energy field that you are open to movement in all areas of life. And in the evenings, even just a few lines from scripture, or any words that center your heart, can align you with the voice of wisdom and guidance that longs to speak into your stillness. What would change in your life if you truly believed that you're being guided? That you are deeply loved and protected, even when you feel most alone? What dream would you dare to return to, if you knew your Father and the divine were already clearing your path? If something stirred within you today, if even one line echoed like truth in your soul, I invite you to affirm it. In the comments below, write, I receive the message from my Father and step fully into my divine destiny. Because that sentence isn't just a statement. It's an energetic agreement with your highest self. And if someone comes to mind, someone who might also need a message from their father, or a reminder that they are not alone, please share this video with them. You might be the messenger their heart has been waiting for. Sometimes, we are not just seekers of signs. We become the signs for others. From the deepest part of my heart, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving yourself the gift of presence, of listening, of inner work. Every like, every comment, every subscription to Miracle of the Sign expands our circle of healing and allows these messages to reach the souls who need them most. Your support keeps this sacred space alive. So wherever you go from here, may your next steps be grounded in light, in love, and in the unseen arms that have never let you go. This is your time, Scorpio. Step forward not because you're fearless, but because you're faithful. Your healing has already begun.